Welcome to Base Building for Power's YouTube channel. Today we're going to talk about 7 tips to make an organizing status report. Base Building for Power is an international training organization. I'm Harley. I'm the executive director, and I've been a tenant, labor, and community organizer for over 25 years. You can find more information about Base Building for Power in the description, as well as a PDF of today's trainings. Please like, subscribe, and comment so that we can get more content out there. So let's get to it. Today we're going to talk about one of my favorite topics, but also it has been one of my least favorite topics for many years, which is status reports, particularly organizing status reports. So what is a status report? It is an organizing status report is a tool that tracks our progress and helps us build our movements for justice. A status report answers some questions like, how many people are we trying to organize? How many leaders do we have that are helping us with this project? How many people have they committed to talk to? And finally, how many people have we identified that we still need to recruit to be part of our team? So status reports help our organizing in a number of different ways. They can really measure our progress. So you can see from week to week or month to month how you're improving and building your organization. They can also point out our strengths and our weaknesses, and that's important to determine our priorities. Status reports also help us make goals and can get us out of our echo chamber. Sometimes an echo chamber, when we're talking to the same few people, it can distort our reality, and a status report can give us a more zoomed out view. Also, status reports can help us to decide our priorities and tactics and next steps. So it can evaluate, are our tactics and priorities or strategies, are they really growing our organization? My mentor said to me, if your tactic or your strategy is not growing your organization, don't do it. Lastly, status reports helps us prioritize our time by identifying priorities and focusing on the top priorities. But status reports are not all sunshine and rainbows. Why don't we like status reports? Well, for me, status reports have triggered my insecurity. Sometimes they point out some ugly truths that I don't want to face, such as our organization or certain areas are not doing good and I need to recruit a ton of leaders, and it just doesn't feel good. Some of us associate numbers on a piece of paper with our self-worth. I struggled with this for many years, and part of it is that that's what capitalism teaches us, right? That our work is our self-worth, that our success or failures, that numbers on a paper is our self-worth, and that can be very damaging. But it's also damaging if it keeps us from tracking and being honest with our organizing. So I want to encourage everybody to use status reports and also practice having a healthy relationship to status reports. So there's many ways to do status reports. Today I am going to give you 2 examples, and let's see, share my screen. Okay. So the first example I'm going to give you is a union status report. So this is a hypothetical restaurant that I'm organizing into the union. I separated it into different departments: cooks, servers and hosts, dishwashers, and catering. I have in column B the number of workers for each category. Now, in organizing a union, generally the goal is to get 80% of people together, united to fight for the union, to sign a union card, but also be prepared to fight for their first union contract. So then I have committee members. Now, a committee member is somebody who is committed to lead some of their coworkers in the fight. So as you see with the cooks, there are 3 people that have committed to fight for the union and also organize their coworkers. The number of coverage are the number of people that they have committed to lead and talk to. So that's 9. So the 3 cooks have agreed to talk to 9 people to fight for the union. column E is targets. So targets are people that we want to be on the committee, that we need to recruit to be on the committee, but they're not recruited yet. I like to put names on targets so I know exactly who I need to recruit. So these are people who are identified as leaders that can help us get to 80% coverage. So if you look at the totals at the bottom, there's 60 workers. To get to 80% coverage, that's probably a little less than 50 people that we need to have in column D. We have 24. And looking at the status report, the big gap that I see is there's 20 servers and hosts, and there's only one committee member that covers 5 people. So that's only 20%. I also see that the cooks, those 3 committee members, they may need to be pushed to lead more than 9 people. 3 people each isn't a lot of people. So I might want to have conversations with those 3 people to get them to increase their coverage number. So that's a basic organizing status report for a union. Here's another one that I created for a tenant organization. So in this case, I am organizing 5 buildings that all have the same landlord. And we're trying to put pressure on this landlord to improve the conditions in the buildings. And so part of building the power is having multiple buildings fighting at the same time. So as you can see, I still have the same 3 columns in the beginning: number of tenants, number of committee members, number of people that they cover, and then targets. So targets are identified targets. So those 3 people in building 1, I should be able to tell you which 3 people, what are the names of those 3 people that I need to recruit. Another time we'll talk more about mapping, but the goal is to find people not just who are supportive, but who have influence, who have leadership, and who can help us improve our coverage. In this status report, I also added different levels of activity for people in the building. So the first thing that we asked everyone to do is to fill out a survey of the problems in the building. And then level 2 is people who attended only one event. So you can see in building 2 and building 1, there's only one person who attended only one event. However, in building 1, there's one person who attended between 2 and 4 events. So I put them as a level 3. And then level 4 are your superstars, people who've attended 5 or more events. So if you look at the status report, you can see that building 1 and 3 have 7 people collectively that have attended 5 or more events. And there are some that are really don't have people participating and doing a lot. Now, I also like to put a notes category in my status report just in case there's an extenuating circumstance that explains the numbers in the status report. So for example, in building number 2, there's 50 tenants. We haven't even started with the survey there. And the reason is because there's an access problem. We're not able to go in and knock on doors and get surveys the way that we have been able to do in the other buildings. So just noting that as like, this is a special case, we might need to meet and talk about, okay, how are we going to get access into this building so that we can start to organize it. So those are 2 examples of status reports. There's a lot of different ways that you can do it. But the key thing are having your committee members, having your coverage, having your targets. Okay, so a couple things that I've learned in creating status reports. So I'm going to give you 7 tips to keep in mind when you're creating your status report. One is that you create categories that are clear to everybody. So I use the word committee member. You can use lots of words for that. You could call it a leader, you could call it a butterfly. It doesn't really matter as long as it's clear that to build movements, we are recruiting people, not just to show up to an event, but to commit to lead a certain number of people to bring them into the movement. right? And so your categories should be clear to everybody. Number 2, you want to do your status reports on a monthly or weekly basis. So that helps you see your progress, right? And so if you're going to do it on a monthly basis, then do it on the first of the month, every month. And come to your team, whether it's a volunteer or a staff group, and say, okay, where are we starting the month with? Number 3, commit to tracking all your participation in your organization. So as you saw in the tenant tracking report, I had number of events that they attended. Now, if you don't actually track who came to each meeting, then you're not going to be able to fill out that tracking form, right? That evaluation form. So it's really, really important that you commit yourselves that when you have an action or a rally or an event, that you write down who came and who didn't, right? Number 4, be honest with your numbers. So, for example, you don't want to put as a committed committee member a mushy yes. So if somebody says, I'll try, or probably, or I think I can do it, that is not a yes. And if you don't get a firm commitment from someone, then you should not put it down as a committee member. You may need to think about that conversation and then come back and recruit them and think about their obstacles and recruit them. But it's important in your status report that you don't include mushy yeses. You're gonna pay for it later. Also, if you're tracking the number of events that someone who comes to, if they come to an online event and they come for 3 minutes and then leave, that's not coming to an event. I guess you could literally say it's coming to an event, but like we're looking for people who are doing stuff, right? Who are like showing up and committed and coming to the meetings, right? Number 5, make goals. So when you look at your status report, you can decide your strategies, you can decide what department or building you want to focus on, and then make a goal. How many committee members do we want to recruit between now and the next status report, between now and the next week? Number 6, bring your top leaders involved. Bring your top leaders into your status report discussions. So the more that people do in your organization, the more that they should be a part of the planning and the strategy. And I found as a union organizer that a lot of workers really appreciate understanding the status report and our goals, and it helps them have more buy-in to the strategy and your plan to win. Lastly, make sure to have a healthy relationship with your status report. So do them and help each other on your team, not beat up on yourselves or each other, but celebrate your victories, acknowledge the things that you need to improve on, and try to take the sting out of a time that your numbers are low. That's organizing. Sometimes our numbers are low and it's like, okay, well, what are we gonna do to improve it going forward? So that's all I got for you today. Thank you for joining us. Please subscribe, like, and comment. We'd love to hear what other topics that you would like us to include in future videos.